Hey everyone, my name is Jawad, or Ryu Kazama as my YouTube name suggests. Now the reason I want to make this video is actually to go through a question that I kind of get in some of the comments and also that I've seen on the Reddit action figure side of things is where I get my action figures from and potentially where I get my merchandise from, which is kind of the same in certain cases. And I don't think this should be a secret. People kind of want to know where to buy action figures from because they're struggling or they just don't really have the time to keep, scouring for information and trying to dig deep into, what's the best place and why is it like there's a schedule or timing for certain releases and stuff like that. So I'm going to briefly go over the three websites that I particularly like to use and my experiences with them. They're mostly going to be positive experiences, which is why I'm going to talk about those three. There's a whole bunch of websites that you can use, whether you're based in the US or Europe or UK like I am. But for me, because I import a lot of my figures from Japan, it will focus on that. For the US side of things, I'll briefly mention that at the end of the video, plus I'll put the links in the description to kind of help you guys out straight away. So it's going to be three websites that I'll talk about, plus their kind of pros and cons and the stock and my experiences with them overall. You're going to read a lot of positive and maybe negative things about it, but ultimately the decision of whether you use that website is going to be down to you. So I just kind of hope that, by doing this video, I'm kind of doing you guys a bit of a favor or kind of elaborating and helping you guys out in some way. So let's start with the website first. So the three websites I'm going to talk about are Nippon Yasa, Nin Game, and CD Japan. So I use all three, and I've had mostly positive experiences with them. There are a few niggles here and there, and I'll kind of elaborate, and hopefully it will inform you guys even better. Before I go into the three websites, if you do like this video and it's helped you out, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my channel for more videos on actual unboxings on action figures and various kind of merchandise sort of stuff. So let's get to it. So the first website I'm going to talk about is CD Japan. So CD Japan has been around for a long time now, and actually I used to use these guys for Japanese music and video game soundtracks initially. This was many years ago, back in my college and university days. But then as I got into action figures, it became a good source for that sort of stuff. So actually, stock-wise, CD Japan has a whole bunch of stuff that you can get from them. So action figures, music, video games, movies, books, study materials for Japanese language as well. There's just so much stuff. So definitely check it out. Just straight away, it's a very, very good site. The service is hands down some of the best that I've dealt with. It's kind of like dealing with, say, Amazon, like the positive Amazon experiences people talk about where they get refunds or like communication quite instantly. Honestly, my service and experience with CD Japan has been just truly amazing. But to caveat that, because I'm based in the UK, we have issues when it comes to HMRC and customs, and I find a lot of the imports that I buy from CD Japan just get hung up in customs, especially in the last 2 years. Which means I'm end up paying a hefty fee on top. So if it's like a £35 item, then I'm gonna end up paying 20% on top of that, plus the handling fee, which is £8.50 for Royal Mail, and it just goes up from there depending on who the service provider was. It's a rip-off essentially, and I hate it. But outside of that, actually CD Japan is probably my favorite website. So when it comes to action figures, though, specifically, they tend to stock most of what you want. Again, from a Japanese product and manufacturer point of view. So whether you want the Figma or whether you want SH Figure Arts from Bandai, they will stock them. CD Japan, though, are mostly an official retailer in that they will do the general releases. If you're after the web exclusives, which for Bandai and SH Figure Arts, they will do them. Not always, but they have been doing them more recently. And if they don't have them, you can usually send them an email and ask them, oh, by the way, there's this particular product I want. Send them the link of the actual Japanese site, so in this case, Tamashi's website, and then they'll try and source it for you. They will charge you a bit of an upcharge for this service, but it's something that they do allow. It's not just for action figures. It could be you want some makeup, that's exclusive to Japan and only on the Japanese site, or some other sort of item. It could be headphones, whatever it is. Just drop them an email and they'll try and procure the item for you for a little fee. And that's a really great thing. Like I said, again, the service from them and the communication from them is really top notch. And that's why I've put this number one. On the other bonus side, they do have a points system. So you'll get accrue points based on how much you order over your time with them. Those points can expire, which is slightly annoying, but they have a fair few months before they do that, and that can just kind of help you save in the long run. But when it comes back to the action figures and the web exclusive, they will do them sometimes. You might not even have to email them. Just keep an eye on their website. I'll go into the timings in general later, and then eventually they may show up. So again, let's just take, say, an exclusive Dragon Ball figure arts figure. It might not show up immediately, but keep looking. And if it doesn't show up at all, drop them an email, or you're going to have to end up using the other two sites or another site that I'll talk about. So CD Japan is very, very good. If you haven't used them, try them out maybe for a smaller item, whether it's going to be like a pack of cards or sweets. I think they do sweets and confectionery now. It's just something small to kind of gauge if you want to use them or not. Packaging, by the way, I'll talk about that too very briefly, is their packaging is very good. They use probably my favorite kind of packaging for boxes, actually. Like they're very, very robust, sturdy, and every item that I've got from them has been in good condition. There's only one time where I bought some vinyls and that got hung up in customs, and then they opened that, which was not their fault. It wasn't CD Japan's fault. That was HMRC UK law, UK fault basically. So I'm a bit annoyed with that. Overall, though, to just finish off CD Japan, very good website. Could not fault them. They're just really good, minus the customs charge. So depending on where you're located, the customs might be very minimal or non-existent. And if it's non-existent, then definitely use them. They are my number one, and I would always recommend them above anyone else. The only fault, like I said, was the customs charge. But depending on where you are located, if it's a minimal customs charge or non-existent, then yeah, it's easily my go-to. But maybe not necessarily just for web exclusive, but if it's general release stuff, super good, super good. But moving on to site 2 then. So site 2 I'm going to talk about is Nippon Yasa. So this one, people are kind of figuring it out over the years of what they are, and because their website is pretty bad actually. Like it's if you're used to modern day websites of e-commerce websites, whether it's a local site or something to buy whatever it is that you're trying to buy, they're quite easy to navigate. Whereas Nippon Yasan doesn't look very professional. It looks quite rushed. It looks a little bit and feels a little bit old school, but don't let that put you off, because they are probably one of the most popular Japanese figure import sites around. But there are a lot of caveats to this. So first, their website can sometimes be quite not suitable for work, especially when you log in. So their stock is kind of mixed up. So they update daily pretty much. So a stock could be more adult market kind of stuff, and then it's mixed in with, say, Doraemon or something like that. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for the minors out there, but most of you are like way above like 18 years old and whatever, so use it as you please. But that's just something that I personally don't like, because it's just a bit annoying. But yeah, it's actually a good site in general. The search function doesn't work so great. You have to kind of explicitly kind of tell them, okay, I'm looking for figure arts Goku, whatever Goku it is, and that doesn't always work either. So just experiment and try. In terms of stock then, so they will do general releases and they will do the web exclusives, whether it's for Bandai stuff or Good Smile Company stuff. They will end up doing it. Good Smile a little bit less. I found that you have to ask them. So similar to CD Japan, they do a buying service. So if you have an item from a different Japanese website that you are after, drop them an email via their contact form and they'll get back to you. Service wise and response wise, they are a lot slower. It can take up to about 3 or 4 days, sometimes worse, for a response on the smallest of things. But in my experience, it has been okay. I've managed to come to a resolution and resolve the matter, whatever it is, quite not easily, but it gets resolved over a period of time. So in terms of stock then, yeah, the general release and the web exclusives. General release, they're pretty easy to get. Web exclusives might be a bit trickier. Actually, even general release, depending on if it's a popular item, again, supply and demand could be tricky as well. I have found Nippon Yasan are probably one of the quickest places that sells out on high demand items. So if it's a metal build Gundam, for example, or a web exclusive fig arts, then you really need to be on the ball with these guys. So if you know the timing of the release schedule, the Japanese release schedule, then be on this website at least like 15 10 minutes beforehand to try and get into a queue. So there's a queue system. Now I don't want to complicate this too much because it doesn't always show up. So there's a queue system on this website, and that will put you into a queue. But it's one of those that if you are in the website and you idle for about 5 minutes in the website, as in you're not browsing, you're not clicking anything, and the next time you refresh, it's going to put you to the queue again. And that's really screwed me up a couple of times when I've tried to order a few items, because I was about to refresh the website, but then actually it booted me into a queue, and then now all of a sudden I'm number 400 and you've got to wait. That's a bit annoying, so keep that in mind. There's a nuance to this website that over the years that I've used it, I've sussed it out and I figured out when and how I need to order my items. That I'm not going to explain just yet, because I want you guys to experiment with this website and get to understand it yourself. Let's talk about the service now as well. So speaking of Nippon Yasan's service, so I did mention that they can take some time to get back to you, but actually it has been resolved. So I had a broken figure from Revoltech that I ordered from them. It was a Captain America one, which I've actually done a video on when it came out. So it's quite an old video, but it took me some time. So I dropped them an email, sent them some pictures of the issues. It was a broken leg, and I got a response back, and they then, I guess, had to go back to Yamaguchi, the manufacturer, to try and sort that out. So I guess that was the delay in it. But then they also charged me for shipping to me the extra leg piece, the replacement leg piece, which I thought maybe CD Japan or Amazon or something, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have charged me. They would have just been like, oh, sorry, here you go. Here's the replacement part. Small little thing. It was only 500 yen for the shipping, but the small things do add up. They don't also like cancelling orders very often, so be very careful of that. Most Japanese sites won't let you cancel orders too often because they end up sitting on overstock, and that's not good for anyone really, whether you're a Japanese site or a Western site. It's just not really helpful to anyone. They also charge you now for a good while now for the web exclusive or high in demand items. So let's take, for example, web exclusive metal builds or Dragon Ball fig arts. They're going to charge you for that upfront, not pay later. It's going to be upfront. So you can't combine those orders with an order that comes, say, the day after. It's very tricky to deal with and not worth the hassle in that respect. But if you don't mind that little bit, sometimes it's not a big difference, then go ahead, just pay the upfront cost. Importantly, in terms of pricing, so when I said see Japan charge retail price, which is fine, Nippon Yasan have like an early bird thing going on, so it'll be quite a bit less than retail for the most part. So let's say a Dragon Ball typical figure arts figure is going to go for about 6,000 to 7,000 yen. Chances are Nippon Yasan is going to have it for about 5,500 yen ish, which is a good deal. And then once you add shipping on top, it still actually end up only bringing it up to retail price, so you've still made the saving. But that's an early bird offer. If it's a high demand item, it's either going to sell out, or it will sell out initially, and then about an hour later it will be in stock again, but in a much more inflated price. And they will inflate the price incrementally. They will you will notice that the price has increased bit by bit, especially if the demand of that particular item goes high. So again, taking certain web exclusive fig arts or metal build Gundams, they'll be there for the lower than retail price, and all of a sudden the next time you've seen it, say the day after, it's at least double the price, which is a shame because that's just how they operate. They operate more like a reseller rather than CD Japan, which operates more like an actual genuine retailer. So these are kind of some issues and some quirks that you need to keep in mind with Nippon Yasan. Everything I've got from them has arrived in good condition, except one time my masterpiece, the recent masterpiece, Optimus Prime, the box was a bit messed, but generally they are very reliable. You'll get your item fairly quickly within like 2 weeks for the basic shipping. Again, I'm in the UK, and it will arrive in good condition. You get the shipper boxes with the web exclusive Bandai figures. They're genuine stock as well. I have read in the past that they may have sold bootleg Nendoroids, but to be honest, I'm not convinced that was actually true. My experience with them in terms of genuine stock has always been fine and good stock, apart from that one time the Captain America Revoltech was broken. Not their fault though, it wasn't their fault. So it's a good site. I can understand some of the concerns and some of the niggles with it, but I've had good experience. It's probably the site I've had the most orders with, and I still use them, so it kind of tells you everything. The point system is there, but it kind of sucks, to be quite honest, and I don't really understand it. You basically get some points for some orders, not every order. I think it's general release items that you'll get points for, and then once you have the points accumulated, you ask them or raise a ticket to get a discount code, which is random. It could be like 3% or 5.5%, whatever it is. But it's useful, but I don't really get it. But it's there. Generally speaking, though, then it's a good site. I would still recommend it, but it has quirks to it that you will need to figure out, and maybe I'll elaborate on those quirks in the future. So on to the third site then. So site number 3 is going to be Nin Games. So basically this site actually is quite similar to Nippon Yasan in terms of operation, and sometimes in the way the site kind of works itself, i.e. when you're searching for something you have to be quite explicit, and even the way they kind of stock things is very, very similar. I personally think that they are managed by the same kind of company, umbrella company, but they operate slightly delayed. I don't know, maybe I'm just making things up, but basically they are very, very similar sites. So they act more like a reseller than a retailer, and they ship things out and have a delayed service and response rate very similar to Nippon Yasan. But I found that in my research over the years and just general comments and feedback from other people, they don't really like using Nin Game. I'm not understanding why exactly, and I guess just because I've been fortunate that the majority of my experience has been pretty positive with them. I've not really had any issue in terms of broken or missing items. Shipping costs have been the same as Nippon Yasan, sometimes cheaper. Even item costs have sometimes been maybe tiny amount, 10 yen or up to about 400 yen cheaper on Nin Game. But once you factor in shipping, it's kind of negligible. So it really, it depends. But similar to Nippon Yasan, they do an early bird offer of reduced item rate, so it won't be the RRP, it'll be less than that. But they again will increment that cost and just increase it. They'll just jack it up because the item is in demand. So again, the metal builds would just jack up from say 20,000 yen to like 30,000 yen over the course of say 1 to 2 days. But actually, in terms of the availability of the stock, that's something you should keep an eye on and compare both sites, because sometimes Nippon Yasan will run out and won't restock even with an inflated price, whereas Nin Game will inflate the price maybe by 2 to 5,000 yen, and therefore it's fine, it's still retail price or just about, so worth it to get it. Other time it's the flip side, so always kind of compare both in terms of pricing and stock availability, because they kind of look at each other, I feel, on who's increased the price more, and then take it from there. So generally, they operate, in my opinion, very, very similar to Nippon Yasan. They also do a point system, which I think is probably, it doesn't always make sense either, but you basically get points for everything you order, and that really helps in terms of cost saving later on down the line. I think the website actually says 5% of your order is the points, but I don't really believe that. I've not actually calculated it in recent times. But you basically get points just like CD Japan, which definitely helps. You get the points, but then you have to go into your account and then basically ask for a point equivalent. So say you've got, say, 2,000 points racked up, all it does is convert that to 2,000 yen, which is simple, straightforward. And then you can use that towards any other kind of order in the future. In terms of stock, by the way, then, so action figures, they do more than that. So it's going to be video games as well. They do a good selection of retro video games. So for like Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, that kind of stuff, there's a good selection of stuff there. They'll do exclusives, so say publisher exclusive titles, so eCapcom. So if you wanted like Resident Evil or Street Fighter eCapcom exclusive, they will stock them. Similarly, if you drop them an email, they might look into a product that you want, whether it's from Bandai or Capcom or Konami or something. They'll look into that for you with a slightly increased fee. In terms of the action figures, again, going back to the general release, they'll stock them. And then they'll also do the web exclusives pretty much like Nippon Yasan. Now, there's a nuance to both sites, and CD Japan included, based on the timings. And this is something I'm going to elaborate in just a moment as a general overall timing sort of thing. It's complicated, but bear with me because not everyone seems to understand it. And it's just because of my time using these sites over the years that I figured it out almost. But generally speaking, Nin Game is a good site. It's probably my third of the list in rank, just because I think I've used them a little bit less, but still plenty though. I still use them. I still have orders with them right now. So overall, Nin Game is a decent site. It's a worthy one that I've added it into this entire video because I've used them a lot. All three of those sites that I mentioned, I've had mostly positive experiences with. I've got my product. It's arrived on time. It's not entirely trashed. One instance, but it's for the most part I'd recommend all three sites. In terms of rank, for if you're unsure and just need a little bit of you want to play it safe, then CD Japan. Definitely go with them. They're a retailer basically, so go with them. If you're a bit more adventurous, more about risk, and don't mind that you might lose a product or you might not get a response, then the other two are okay. But trust me, I've used them for years now, and I've had countless, maybe not countless, but I've had so many orders on all three, and Nippon Yasan is still the one that I use the most. And Nin Game now is up because their point system is probably the best one out of those two. CD Japan has just got the customs. Which this is actually the comes to my point of, though I do like CD Japan a lot and it would ordinarily be my favorite site out there, especially out of these three, it's the customs. The customs is crazy, and as a UK resident and paying customs, it's not nice. Nobody wants to pay extra for something. I do try and count for it now and expect it for anything I order from CD Japan, but it's still like a kick in the nuts, to be quite honest, when you get that postcard through your letterbox that says, oh, by the way, here's a 15 or 26 pound customs fee that you got to pay before you get your item. It's not nice. I really hate it, but it is what it is. Which actually just came to my mind as well. Nippon Yasan, I didn't mention it. Nippon Yasan I actually get away with. I've never ever had to pay customs with them, which is very fortunate, and touch wood that it never ever happens to me. Please, HMRC, I'm begging you, please don't knock on my door. But I never actually get charged customs by using Nippon Yasan, so that's why I use them the most often. Nin Game, weird one. It used to be no customs. For some reason lately, especially in the last 1 year, let's say, it's been about 60% okay, 40% I'll get charged customs. I'm not really sure why. I just don't understand it. Maybe because Nippon Yasan, I haven't looked to do, but maybe because they label my item as €3, and then a gift. So there's a limit for the UK stuff, which is like 18 euros before they charge VAT. Maybe that's why. But I never used to get charged with Nin Games, but now I do, so I use them a little bit less and intermittently. If the stock is not in Nippon Yasan, then I'll go to Nin Game and buy it from there and hope for the best. But that's how it is for now. CD Japan, customs almost guaranteed. About 70% times customs. Nin Games, this now charging customs, and Nippon Yasan, so far, fortunately, no customs. Again, depending on where you're located, if you are in a place where you're not gonna get charged customs, then just pick whichever one. If you are, like me, unfortunate to be living in the UK where you're gonna have to pay higher shipping fees and then probably get charged customs, then I would say Nippon Yasan. I've used them enough to be confident that they'll be fine for you guys as well. You can check on Reddit and my figure collection for other people's feedback as well. And it's a lot of the times a classic case of the positive people won't necessarily leave reviews. It's always going to be the ones with negative experiences. So here I am to kind of give you a non-biased look at all three of these. And then the next topic I actually want to talk about, I was hoping this video would be quite short actually, but it's not, so bear with me. So next topic I wanted to talk about was the timing of releases. So onto the timing. So this particularly pertains to the Bandai stuff, so the web exclusive or general release Figuarts figures, and occasionally the metal builds. With Figuremart, I'm just going to get that outside. I don't really know their timing so much. It just seems to be they announce a product, it goes live, and yep, retailers have them on stock. But with Bandai stuff, there's always a schedule. So if you keep an eye on, especially the Japanese website, then they will tend to have like a blog post or something that kind of tells you, okay, this wave of figure is going to come out or release at this timing. So we just had one wave of, say, the Black Widow stuff that they announced with, say, Black Widow and Taskmaster, and that's part of a particular wave that they're releasing, and that wave also includes maybe other non-Black Widow items and non-figures, for example. So they'll announce this, and then on the product page it will also tell you the actual release date, but the actual pre-order date and time. Typically the timing is around 8 a.m. UK time or 4 p.m. Japanese time. We have to keep in mind the time difference, so it will end up being 7 a.m. in April for us, which causes issues, by the way. But yeah, typically it's 4 p.m. Japanese time when pre-orders go live, and that's, in my experience so far, tends to be on a Friday or a Monday, but they're not guaranteed. This is just based on my experience so far. Those are the common days where pre-orders go live: Monday or Friday at 4 p.m. People tend to post the links anyway on Reddit, so keep an eye on Reddit as well. But they won't tell you the timing necessarily, because it might be an English link, and the English timings are completely different. So I'm specifically talking about the Japanese release timings that you want to import the Japanese figure. Now, based on those timings, then CD Japan are much more official in that they will go with the official Japanese timing listed by Bandai. So if they've said 4 p.m., then Japan will go out at Japanese time 4 p.m. as well. So that's easy. That I want to put aside. So if you're on their site at 4 p.m. Japanese time, you should start seeing the products listed. Nippon Yasa and Nin Game are like rogue rebels. So Nin Game will sometimes go live early, because there's been previews and announcements from Tamashi saying, oh, this figure is coming out, on their Instagram, and they'll have a preview image, and then therefore Nin Game, that day will have a listing up, but it might not necessarily be available to pre-order. It'll be a 0 yen product, and then you just have to wait. Just watch it put it in your watch list, add your email, and then you'll get an update. Other times they will actually wait until the official Japanese timing, 4 p.m, and then go live at that time. And then a third time it could be a random interval around that period of launch and announcement preview stage. So you just kind of have to use the website and figure it out. I tend to check these sites daily though. Like I wake up in the morning, do what I need to do, and then I check them as routine, like as someone would check the news or something. It's just something that I've been doing now because it's just out of habit. Nippon Yasan are also very similar to Nin Game, hence my previous comment on them operating the same way. So Nippon Yasan, basically what they do is they try to adhere to an 8 p.m. timing, or 4 p.m. Japanese timing, but it's not so great. What they tend to do, and this is a secret I'm giving away, is they won't go live with all wave of products in one go at one time. So when I said, a wave of products go live at 4 p.m, that might be a summer wave, for example, summer 2020, and it's all these 5 products. Nippon Yasan won't do that. CD Japan will, and Bandai's own website, they will do that. But Nippon Yasan, they will do one product at a time, and this is a secret bit, at roughly 10-minute intervals. I know this because I've been keeping an eye on their products and their website for so long that that's how they operate now. It will be, say there's 3 Dragon Ball figures, it will be, and let's call them A, B, and C. A will go live first, and then approximately 10 minutes later, B will go live, and then 10 minutes later again, C will go live. So you just have to wait and play the waiting game and just keep an eye on the website for about an hour until all the products go live and the product you want shows up. If the product shows up, then immediately buy that product. So like I said, Nippon Yasan and Nin Game act a little bit rebellious and rogue in terms of timing. So this is all I'm saying is because I've experienced this over the years of using both sites and CD Japan. So that's why I'm sharing this information with you, that CD Japan are a retailer that will try to adhere and pretty much always adhere to the official timings of release, whereas the other two, they just don't. They might, and that's just coincidentally, but they won't do it in an official sense, if you like. So it's troublesome, it's annoying, especially if you work early. So again, going by my UK timing, it would be 8 a.m. So a lot of people need to work by 9 a.m. So they'll be on the underground or something. So there's no reception for them to log in to these websites and check if the products are live. So it is troublesome. It is a pain in the butt, but that is how it is. Fortunately for me, I tend to work a little bit later, so I'm able to do this. But yeah, that's how they operate, and I'm sharing this and making this video with you guys now purely because it's been years since I've been using these websites, and over this time I figured out how they tend to work. And it's not guaranteed to always be the exact same methodology each time. Yeah, I hope this information really kind of tells you which sites are good and the kind of nuances and quirks between the 3 sites, reliability, my personal experiences as well, because I'm just a random dude on the internet. You've never seen my face before, at least I hope not. So I'm just kind of sharing that with you guys, rather than a random no face, wall of text on Reddit. I'm telling you in video format my experiences personally. And if you've seen my channel as well, you've seen how many videos I've done, and I've done a fair few bit of unboxing, so pretty reliable stuff. And I tend to tell in my videos where I got that figure from as well. Not always, because I forget, but generally speaking, it's one of those 3 sites. So yeah, take a look at those sites now that you're aware of them. There are many other sites out there as well that you can use, that other people might even comment down below preferring and recommending another site which has better pricing or better sort of reward offers or something like that. By all means, feel free to check them out. It really is down to you. I found the three sites that I like. But briefly skimming over some of the others, there's Amazon. If you're in the US, that's a pretty good site, obviously. But in terms of pricing, they're not so bad. You just get the product about a month after the Japanese release. You've also got eBay as a last resort, in my opinion. Chances are you're going to pay inflated prices though for the high demand stuff. What else have you got? For UK, there's Kapow Toys, which are pretty good. I've used them a couple of times. Forbidden Planet, which are very expensive, wouldn't use them. Play Asia, which is another import site based in Hong Kong. Slightly higher prices, but I used to use them back in the day for video games. They were awesome as well, but I don't use them anymore. Yes Asia, Plamoya, Solaris, so many websites that you can just kind of buy stuff. There's like at least a dozen good reputable sites out there to get you the products that you want now. But I've chosen these 3 specifically because these are the ones I use the most, and I wanted to kind of share with you guys. So I really, really hope that this can kind of help you out. I'll try and link my original Reddit post as well, which is now giving away my Reddit username as well, of how I mentioned how I get my figures. So anyway, these are the 3 sites that I mentioned. I do hope this video finds some use for you guys, and if you like this video, like the information, and want to hear more information, if you've got any questions, then ask, and I'll try and address that either in the comments or make another video as well. Please feel free to check out my channel for actual unboxings of action figures and other stuff. And of course, as always, if you like this video, then please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already, and I'll catch you in the next video, which will hopefully be an unboxing and not this beautiful face. See you next time.